Oh gosh, it's been a brutal season for Incarnate Word fans. There was so much hope and excitement around this program as they entered as the 4th ranked team in the FCS preseason coaches poll behind North Dakota State, Montana State, and South Dakota State, 3 of the FCS's biggest powerhouses. They were also the heavy favorites to win the Southland Conference, earning 15 of the possible 20 first place votes. Instead, things have collapsed as they are now sitting at 2-5 on the season and are out of the FCS rankings. How did a dream season turn into a disaster? This is the story of the 2025 Incarnate Word Cardinals so far this season. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know which FCS program I should talk about next in the comment section below. Incarnate Word Football is a relatively young program dating back to 2009 when they began competing at the Division II level as an independent school. They held their first official practice on August 27, 2008. While there would be growing pains at first, in recent years, they have developed some amazing coaches as well as a few players. In 2010, they joined the Lone Star Conference before moving up to the FCS level in 2013. In 2014, they would become a member of the Southland Conference, where they currently reside. Their first head coach would be Mike Santiago, who would go 10-18. He would then be replaced by Larry Keenan, who was a former NFL assistant spending 16 seasons where he helped the Los Angeles Raiders win a Super Bowl and was the head coach of the London Monarchs when they won a World League of American Football Championship in 1991. For Incarnate Word, he had spent the previous 13 years serving as an executive director of the NFL's Coaches Association. Keenan spoke on the job saying, "I get to live my dream every day. I get to coach young people, which I'm best at. I love to teach them life and football and all that stuff. So life is really good today. I could see us in 10 years being an FBS team competing with SMU, TCU, and all those people. I could see that happening because we have great resources. We're in such a wonderful city. We've got leadership here. This place, this time, is the perfect situation for this school and for me." While he would lead them to a 6-5 season in 2015, following a 20-46 record and a 1-10 season in 2017, the Cardinals would dismiss Keenan. Then came now North Texas head football coach Eric Morris, who led the Cardinals to their first 2 FCS playoff appearances, their first 2 conference titles in school history, their first win in the FCS playoffs when they beat Stephen F. Austin in overtime, and the first round before falling to number 1 Sam Houston in the second round, 49-42 in the 2021 playoffs. Morris would also recruit an unknown quarterback at the time by the name Cam Ward, who helped put the school on the map after being drafted first overall this past NFL draft. Morris would go 24-18 in 4 seasons and left to become the offense coordinator at Washington State, bringing Ward with him. They would replace him with UCF co-offense coordinator G.J. Kinney, who led the Cardinals to their best season in school history, going 12-2 and losing in the FCS playoff semifinals to North Dakota State 35-32. Kinney would leave the school following 1 season, become the head coach at Texas State, while quarterback Lindsey Scott Jr. would go undrafted after throwing for 4,686 yards, 60 passing touchdowns, 11 rushing touchdowns, and 712 rushing yards en route to winning the Walter Payton Award, totaling 71 touchdowns on the season. Former Incarnate Word wide receiver and then associate head coach and wide receiver coach Clint Calo would be named the school's next head coach, having been on the coaching staff since 2018. Calo kept winning, going 9-2 in his first season at the helm and 11-3 last year, leading the Cardinals to the Southland Conference title, the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs, where they fell to South Dakota State 55-14. Under Calo, Zach Calzada revived his career, throwing for 6,342 yards, 54 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions, while also rushing for 10 touchdowns on the ground in 2 seasons. He would transfer to Kentucky following the 2024 season. Incarnate Word quickly went from a bottom-of-the-barrel team to one of the premier FCS programs in the nation under Morris, Kinney, and Calo, and it was why expectations were so high heading into this year. From 2021 to 2024, they had a 42-10 record under 3 different head coaches and became a quarterback factory with Ward, Scott, and Calzada. Many felt this could be the year where they could jump in the category of the South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Montana, and Montana State of the FCS football world. But there were also some red flags as well. Incarnate Word did not just lose Calzada, but also lost Richie Munoz to the transfer portal, with Munoz going to Tennessee Tech. Richard Torres looked like the starting quarterback heading into the season. When Torres replaced an injured Calzada in 2023, he threw for 544 yards and 6 touchdowns with no interceptions. The hype was real as everyone thought he could become one of the nation's best quarterbacks at the FCS level this season. Torres would beat out Purdue transfer E.J. Colson and Wyoming transfer Deion Batiste for the starting quarterback job. The wide receiver room was stacked with returning All-American wide receiver Jalen Walthall, who led the Cardinals with 1,290 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns last year. He was named the Southland Offensive Player of the Year after posting 100 or more yards in 6 games. Senior Josh Lorick also returned after a solid season, and tight end Logan Compton was a first-team All-Southland selection last season after totaling 219 yards and 4 touchdowns. They also added former FCS All-American Cheaton James, Fresno State, where he had transferred to after a great career at Idaho State. Along with that, they had former freshman All-American Zach Mitchell, who transferred in from Southern Utah. At running back, they added 2023 Southland Offensive Player of the Year Jalen Spears from Nichols. Spears missed most of the 2024 season with injuries. They also returned 2 starters on the offensive line, including all-Southland guard Travion Newsome. This offense was stacked on paper and looked like they were going to score a lot of points. On defense, they returned 14 players that played 150 snaps or more in 2024. They had first-team All-Conference selection Declan Williams at edge, along with a slew of other talent across the line. They also had a ton of playmakers throughout the secondary. This roster looks stacked on paper, and it's why they were voted heavily favorites to win the Southland Conference, earning 15 of the possible 20 first-place votes in their preseason poll. SFA followed with 3, while Southeast Louisiana and Lamar each earned a singular vote. Since 2020, Incarnate Word had dominated the Southland Conference, putting together a 28-6 record, and they had spent 50 consecutive weeks ranked in the FCS polls. Calo had 1 loss in conference play since taking over as head coach, with that loss coming to Nichols in 2023, the team they opened up the 2025 season against. They entered the season as the 4th-ranked team in the nation in the FCS preseason coaches poll by North Dakota State, Montana State, and South Dakota State. Incarnate Word opened up the season on the national stage when they took on Nichols on ESPN2 during Week 0. This game decided the auto bid for the conference in 2023 was the debut for Nichols head coach Tommy Rybacki, their longtime defensive coordinator. The Cardinals were picked to win 34-17 on the road by Sports Illustrated. I remember checking the score of this game while I was in Dublin. I was just shocked that UIW had not pulled away. The Cardinals went into half down 13-3. I kept thinking, oh, they'll get it together and fight back to win this game. Nope. The explosive Cardinals offense would not even get into the end zone once, as they would fall 20-6, meaning the first FCS game of the season was a major upset. Torres, the man known for not turning the ball over, threw 3 interceptions and was sacked 3 times. The offense finished with 188 passing yards between Colson and Torres, while the rushing game was held to 16 net rushing yards. They would return home to host Eastern Washington, and the offense would explode for 463 total yards, as Torres threw for 332 passing yards and a touchdown as the Cardinals won 31-21 to move to 1-1. They would drop to number 9 in the FCS coaches poll, heading into their 3rd game of the season against FBS rival UTSA. The offense would be shut down in the first half. They would go into the breakdown 24-0, and Torres would be benched after throwing for 111 yards and 1 interception. Colson would come into the game throwing for 213 yards and 3 touchdowns in the second half, as they would fall 48-20. Heading into their 4th game of the season, the offensive reins were handed over to Colson, but they would fall to Northern Arizona 31-23 in Flagstaff. The 1-3 start and loss to Northern Arizona would drop them all the way down to 24th in the coaches poll, heading into their matchup against number 13 Abilene Christian. Finally, the Cardinals would play the way everyone is expecting them to at the start of the season, as they would dominate the Wildcats 38-7, as Latrell Turner rushed for 118 yards, while Colson threw for 122 passing yards and rushed for 103 yards on the ground, counting for 3 total touchdowns. This was a team everyone is expecting to see play all year long. This is why they came into the season as the 4th-ranked team in the nation. Were things finally clicking? The answer was no, as they would fall to Stephen F. Austin the following week at home, snapping their 9-game home winning streak, a place where they were 25-1 since 2021. The Cardinals were dominated from start to finish, heading into the 4th quarter down 31-6, eventually losing 31-17. They would not score their first touchdown of the game until there was 1:18 left in the 4th quarter. It was the complete opposite offensive performance they had seen a week before. They would fall out of the FCS polls for the first time since week 11 of the 2021 season. Things would only get worse as they would blow a 28-7 lead over East Texas A&M to lose to them at home 52-45. While their offense exploded to its most points in the season so far this year, their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. It was the first time they were losing back-to-back games at home since the 2021 spring season. Their defense allowed 526 total yards in the game and 45 points in the second, third, and fourth quarter, with 31 of those coming in the second half, while Colson threw 2 interceptions. The Lions would score the game-winning touchdown with 27 seconds left. They now travel on the road to take on UT Rio Grande Valley and are trying to avoid their first 3-game losing streak since the 2021 spring season. UT RGV is a dangerous team this year, just falling short of upsetting number 15 Lamar 23-21 last week. The Vaqueros are 5-2 with their only other loss coming to number 19 Southeast Louisiana. Incarnate Word is on the verge of having their worst season since 2019, and it could be their worst season since 2017 when all is said and done. They currently are at 2-5 on the season, with games against UT RGV, Lamar, Northwestern State, Southeast Louisiana, and Houston Christian remaining. The only games I feel confident in saying they should win are against Houston Christian and Northwestern State, who are 1-4 and 1-6 respectively. That means they could end the season 4-8. A season many came into thinking they could compete for an FCS title may instead see them have their worst season since 2017 when they went 1-10 under Keenan. Things are only going to get tougher for them here on out, as with the success UT RGV is having, they're going to be competing for the same recruits and the same kids the Cardinals have, as they both recruit similar areas. Could the Cardinals have missed their title window? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.